The Catholics of Oz is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to episode 41 of The Catholics of Oz. The Catholics of Oz is a show where we discuss faith, culture, and what's been happening from an Aussie perspective. Whether it's synods or science, apostolates and apps, providence or productivity, you can hear it right now on The Catholics of Oz. Hello and welcome to episode 41 of The Catholics of Oz. And the first thing I want to say is I'm not alone this time.
We're all together. Sorry about that, Lindsay. Yeah, you did very well though.
Oh, Lindsay. That's all right. I think I managed. I just, there was someone with a small violin behind me playing while I lamented being on my own, but it was okay. So those voices that you can hear is my lovely, wonderful, feeling better sister, Caroline Knight. Caroline, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm also a bit extra happy because it's my son Harry's 6th birthday today, so we're
Yay! Happy birthday to Harry.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, very happy.
Those who are listening, an extra birthday prayer for Harry, please. That'd be awesome.
You.
And also our Uncle Alex today as well.
Uncle Alex in Peru, Father Uncle Alex.
Yes. He's a Catholic priest and missionary in Peru. He's been doing wonderful work there for a long time.
Very long time,
a
very long time, guys.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And the other wonderful voice that you can hear is Lino Sabol. Lino, how are you?
Awesome, guys. Awesome. I can't believe I missed our 40th. We turned 40th.
I know. We missed our
couple
40th.
Weeks, guys, lads. Oh,
it's the saddest situation. I was alone for the 40th of this podcast. It was like
the celebration
what my actual 40th is going to be like.
I know, exactly. And I can only just say one song I want to sing to you, Lindsay. Lindsay was all by himself.
Get the violins out again. Well, thank you for if you listened and you stuck through listening to my wonderful soothing voice. I hope you got something out of episode 41. It was actually episode 40, I should say. It was fun to share a bit of spirituality from my own point of view. It was fun to do that. I prefer to podcast with you guys, but it was good to do something different, I guess. Never again. But thank you for that.
I was going to say, don't get used to it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right. So before we begin, I just want to remind everyone, please, to like the Catholics of Oz on SQPN's Facebook page whenever new episodes are shared. Don't forget to retweet our episodes, which are posted on the SQPN Twitter handle, and leave us comments as well, because we love to read your comments, we love to hear what you have to say, and we love to interact with all of you. You can subscribe to The Catholics of Oz on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, or your favorite podcast app. And don't forget that SQPN also puts all of its episodes on YouTube, so just go there and hit the bell to get notifications when new episodes of The Catholics of Oz and other episodes of other shows from SQPN are released as well. Also, if you could do us a lovely favor and leave us some feedback and a nice 5-star review on your favorite podcast player directory, it would be great for us because it will help us to reach out to more people. And as we always say, that's what we're all about, is reaching out to people and sharing a bit of lovely stuff with them. Again, this show is not for us to just talk to you. This is a show for us to interact with people who are listening. So we appreciate the two-way conversation that happens on this show sometimes. So please share with us. That'd be great. So today we are still in stage 4 lockdown. I think we have about 9 or 10 days to go. I've actually lost count.
I don't know.
Lost in stage 4, guys.
I feel like we're never getting out.
I'm lost in the void.
It's been since July, isn't it? So we're in September now.
It's like what Premier Dan Andrews says. Is like you can't. I believe what the setting of the date is. It just depends on the numbers.
Yeah.
You can just say, oh yeah, also we're going to think about October. All of a sudden, the numbers rise and we're back to normal lockdown 4 again.
Yeah.
And it's like he's just that's what I loved about him. He's like he takes it step by step, and he's telling them the truth. These dates are not set. These are just what they call assumptions, maybe. You know what I mean?
Near targets.
Pirates of the Caribbean. They're more like guidelines.
That is true.
But we're getting along, I guess. I guess one of the minor annoying tragedies that is not really as bad as some of the real tragedies that are going on is, but
exactly.
I desperately need a haircut.
Oh my gosh, me too. Look at this. I mean,
I have hair growing on hair. That's how much I'm gonna.
At least you don't look like Cousin It. I mean, my hair has a big cut for I don't know how long. So
now, people who are listening can't see Lino, but Lino, you hide your hair very well with the headphones the way you've got your setup there. So it looks like you got it all flat.
It's all flat. Yeah, exactly, man. It's like whenever I have a shower afterwards, my hair goes like it's up like that, and I go, I'm trying to push it down. And that's half the time you guys see me wearing a hat. Sometimes it's either wearing a hat to keep my hair down or wearing a hat to keep my head warm.
I think we'll all be getting hats soon. Don't worry.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The other good thing is, it's for me anyway. Maybe for you too, Caroline. Is it's school holidays now. Oh, thank goodness for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So now this podcast will come out a week after school holidays have started. But at this point, it's we've got 2 weeks of school holidays, which is good. It's a busy time for teachers, especially if you have Year 12s like I do, because we're getting ready for exams now. So
that's right,
I won't be completely cut off from work, but I will obviously prioritize my family and have a bit of fun with them too at home, because we can't go anywhere yet. So so we'll see how that goes.
So how does the exams work, Lindsay? How would they work?
So there are some plans that my school has that I can't talk about yet because they haven't been released to parents, but they will be over the weekend. By the time this podcast comes out, they will be anyway. But essentially, look, the key thing is that we're going to have 1 year level at our senior campus, and that's our Year 12s who are doing exams. And then there's a plan to have kids at different campuses otherwise. So there's going to be a massive change, lots of stuff driving from one campus to another. Lots of big stuff going on. I hope that all gets released by the time this comes out. It should. If it's not, that's bad.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so
wow, man.
Yeah.
Hope it all works out.
Yeah.
Dude.
But anyway. Yeah. I'm sure it will. The teachers at my school. I'm not praising myself, but I do want to my colleagues have done an extraordinary amount of work to make sure that our students are connected to their learning and supporting our Year 12s through a last year of school that I don't think any other year level will ever experience in our lifetimes.
Hope and pray. Not hope and pray. We'll tell you, pray it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And they're going through this. So you can imagine us back in our days. What was it, 90s? The 90s, if this happened in the 90s, oh my goodness, I don't even know.
My goodness. And how many stacks of photocopying would we have received if we had done that?
How many times do we have to visit the library? Social distancing in the library? Really? I don't know, man.
Pandemic. If it was Year 12, a pandemic in our times when we were in Year 12,
we didn't use the
stacks
internet
of
back
paper.
then, did we?
Exactly, Caroline. The internet was just like a baby.
Yeah, we were at the library photocopying.
Yeah, for me there was internet by that time, but it was Netscape Navigator, so forget it, right?
Yeah.
and the early days of Hotmail, so forget it. So it wouldn't have made the situation much better.
Yeah, I think I started using internet
and
a bit more
Microsoft
when I
Word was still crashing.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. Forget Facebook. Was it MySpace?
Oh yes, MySpace. That's right.
There was no social network when we were in high school. Yeah, it was internet chat rooms. That's right. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Was it IRC or whatever? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all those.
ICQ. Yeah. Goodness me. There's so many.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Sorry guys. Sorry listeners. We're sort of being a bit nostalgic here. But
it's all right.
Yeah. We better move on before this becomes secrets of technology.
Secrets of ancient technology, you mean?
Ancient technology. Yeah. So in this episode, I guess, we thought, look, while we're in lockdown, we're going to keep it casual. We need to laugh. There was one of our staff members was posting about the psychology of laughter and how it's actually really good for you. It does good things, makes you feel better, increases your mental health, things like that. So we are keeping these episodes a bit more casual while we're in lockdown, like especially in the most serious of lockdown, and then we will go back to segments. We're still going to talk about the topics we normally do, but maybe in a more, relaxed, casual kind of way. So actually, let's start. Let's start with Archbishop Peter Comensoli, good friend of the show, have to mention, as always. So he was a guest on our show episodes ago. We had a lovely chat with him on a Friday evening and recorded an episode with him. Anyway, go Lino, you want to say it.
He's our gin and tonic guy.
I was waiting for you to, so every week he puts out a video, like just a short video message for the Catholics of the Archdiocese of Melbourne, and he updates on things that are going on and, reflects on the gospel or gives a spiritual message, does a couple of things. And they're always really good, really helpful. And I thought maybe just very briefly, because it relates to, we've talked about updates about what's happening with COVID-19 in Victoria, but what about the church? What's happening with our sacramental life? So he has given an update, and one of the things that I appreciate the most is that he's talked about how he and the Catholic Church are working in the background with the state government to negotiate and have ways for us to have something, to get something back when the time is right, for us to be able to have some, more of a sacramental life. Because when you think about it, aside from, I've managed to receive Eucharist twice in lockdown, once on Good Friday and once a few weeks ago when I was reading before the lockdown went to stage 4. But I don't know about you guys, but otherwise my sacramental life is just...
I think I haven't received communion since March, which is really horrible. It's not good.
Reconciliation.
Right. All of that.
Definitely.
It's all online religion practice at the moment. And there's nothing physical, which is a real shame at the moment.
Which we're grateful that we can celebrate
of
online.
Course,
it's good,
of course.
And prayers don't stop. Jesus is here.
But we're missing out on that physical contact. Physically receiving Jesus and being able to go to, I think we take those things for granted. Probably in everyday life, you just take it for granted.
We do.
You just go we're going to Sunday, we're going to have communion, and I just go to reconciliation whenever I feel like it, and I won't, if I want to do it this time, I'll wait till next Saturday or, whenever. But now it's I really would like to go and I can't go. Physically, there's nowhere to go. Can't at all.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
There's nowhere we can't move more than 5 kilometers out of our suburb. And if there is a Catholic church in our suburbs, which we do have anyway,
closed.
There's nothing. It's closed.
Nothing's functioning. So.
There's a priest there. There are priests there. We just can't access them.
Exactly.
Yeah, except for the anointing of the sick. So so Catholics in Melbourne were a little bit in Victoria were a little bit shocked. When it started going around on Facebook, I noticed at first, there was excerpts of the Victorian government's guidelines on what can and can't be done in stage 4. And it specifically said that there couldn't be any anointing of the sick. And we were like, what?
That's not
what? That was shocking. And there were priests who were already doing anointing of the sick who were surprised as well, because they'd been trained in wearing PPE. They'd been going and, covered in, in all the protective gear and everything. Father Frank Brennan was one such priest, and he basically said, forget it, I'm still going. I don't care. Saying if I can go and visit the sick, I will.
Yeah, good.
That was a little bit shocking because, yes, all right, we want to socially distance, we want to keep people safe, but maybe that's one that's a little bit too important to cut out, I guess.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a Catholic and I was really sick or dying, I'd want it. I
can imagine it would be very comforting if you were conscious of yourself passing away and you really wanted that, that last, the last rites, last confession, last communion, last everything. I mean, exactly. I think it would be extremely comforting to be able to take part in that, before you pass. So, it's super important that we are able to have that.
Yeah. Go, Lino.
Yeah, I was about to say, is this anointing of the sick? That's a bit of both, isn't it? The priest going to the hospital and also homes?
Yes.
Maybe aged care or aged care places as well?
Aged care. Yep. Yeah, it can be given. It's not necessarily a sacrament for the dying, although that's what we associate it with. But
no.
You could be extremely ill or crippled,
exactly.
and you can, it's called a sacrament of anointing.
Actually,
it's a
when I was pregnant with Frankie, I was quite unwell and I couldn't go anywhere. And so our parish priest at the time, Father Shadbolt, came and he actually administered it to me because I was quite unwell, just to help me spiritually get through it, which was really lovely of him. And I found it really, really nice, really touching.
It
was a nice experience. So, it's super important, especially if you're passing. I think that you should, if I'm going to talk about rights, you should have the right to receive that. So,
is the right? Well, that is the right word.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. In the last rites as well, or anointing of the sick, they also the I think it's a Latin word, is viaticum. You receive communion, and that viaticum comes from via, means the way, food for the journey, food for the way. So it's like the it's not the last time you receive communion if it's last rites for or anointing of the sick for not for a reason when you're dying, but if you're a dying person, it's food for the journey beyond as well. It's your last communion. I think all I can say really to everyone listening is just pray for people who don't have access to this sacrament for whatever reason.
Really want it.
You really want,
and who really want it. Yeah.
Wow.
But it did sadden me to think for a while that that people in Victoria, where there are plenty of priests, plenty of access, priests who have trained in PP, know what to do. That they're not stupid. They know what to do.
Exactly.
Being told that they couldn't access that would be, and even people of other religious traditions who have other rights as
Well,
well.
that's
true too.
It's super important to
Yeah.
keep up our religious practices as much as we can. I mean, whatever faith, because it's so helpful. I mean, you don't just give it up because we're at home. It's still a real part of you. So
it is.
and I think it's important, probably psychologically too, to be able to take part as much as possible, because it helps you keep going, especially in these difficult times.
Definitely.
Yeah. So getting through that discussion, the good news was that Archbishop Comensoli did speak and reach out to the state government about this, and the decision was reversed.
Yeah.
So thankfully,
good on Dan.
Anointing of the Sick is still on. Yeah.
He's very reasonable.
Yeah, and I think
he is.
I think he's very reasonable.
Yeah, and I think we could fairly say there are a lot of things that we disagree with Dan Andrews, the Premier of Victoria, on. For sure, there are ethical issues that we have, stances against that we don't agree with. But in terms of at least trying to be accommodating to religious people for different reasons, I think he's been pretty reasonable, and I'm grateful for that. And clearly he's had to tell someone change that decision, because he didn't make that decision himself. He's had to go and say, let them do their anointing of the sick now. So and he announced it publicly too at one of his press conferences, I believe. So so it's not like, sometimes politicians don't like to concede that they made the wrong decision or the wrong decision being made, and they're like, just do it quietly, change it, let them have it. No, but he said it, so grateful for that. It's and grateful that decision was reversed. So Archbishop Comensoli also updated on other sacraments. So we've talked on previous shows about our kids, Caroline, about so you've got Frankie's or Harry? Wait, who's up next in yours?
Frankie's up next. Frankie's
up next, right?
Frankie's up next. He's up next.
And he's missed out this year on what is it, on confession or reconciliation?
Yeah. So
right?
Well, I mean, the way that they do it now, it's every 2 years. So his turn is actually next year. I would have preferred it to be this year because he's 8 years old already. I think he's ready.
Wow.
And I was hoping to maybe push so that he could get it done, but it's like, well, can't anyway. So hopefully everything will be more normal next year, so that we can let him, take part.
Exactly.
And I mentioned Damien as well, confirmation.
Exactly.
He's missed out.
Oh my goodness me, he's in almost grade 6, Lindsay, or I've just missed a year.
He is grade 6.
No, he's going into high school next year. This is the crazy thing.
He's growing so fast. I can't believe Damien is already.
Do we feel old or what, guys? Wow.
Tell you what. So the update on the sacraments is that he's trying to see. So we're going to have kids back in school soon. So at different stages, there's going to be children in school in a few weeks' time.
I'm going to have one at home and one at school.
Yeah, that's right. You are. Yeah, because of the way the staggered return.
I don't know if Frankie's going to get to be in class at all this year. The rest of the year, Harry will be.
Thinking the same about Damien. Yeah, because Damien's on that back end as well. He won't be one of the first to go back. Yeah. But what the Archbishop is trying to work out is there a way for kids, or students, children, I should say probably, to receive their sacraments at school this year if they're ready, through school? Is there a way? So
through school,
he's not saying that it's definitely going to happen, but he's exploring a possibility of if it could happen. And the other update was as we start to open up slowly, could there be some kind of accommodation, possibly for outdoor liturgical settings, depending on what kind of crowd sizes and gatherings? So if you can have a crowd of 50, for example, outdoors, could churches have outdoor masses, you know, or like we've seen, it hasn't been in Australia, but in the United States they've had car park masses.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's in their cars. The priest goes to each car, and so something like that would, it's not ideal, but it's a step in the right direction. We still get we start to slowly warm up our sacramental life again, you know. So can we look at those kinds of Yeah, so that's what he's exploring with the state government at the moment. So we're grateful, I guess, that he's doing that. That he's trying to do something. He's not resting on his laurels and just waiting for everything to happen. Because what tends to happen is as you open up the Catholic Church, and religion gets forgotten till the end. So
that's right.
religious leaders have to continue to So it's good that he's doing that.
It's good to know he's working so hard behind the scenes for us. He's really taking care of us, which is really good to know. I mean, because we don't know everything he does until it's announced. So when he does announce something like that, it's like we're very grateful for that hard work. So, let's keep it going. It would be great if we could have outdoor masses. That would be awesome.
That'd be interesting, guys. Yeah, it would be interesting having outdoor masses. It just make sure it's not a very windy day. He
well, the weather's a factor of it.
Drive through, whatever. Anyway.
But technically, we do have, we're in spring now, so technically better weather is on the way. So hopefully,
better weather.
Although it does get pretty windy and rainy.
Yeah. A summer in your car, I have to have the aircon on while you're at mass.
That's another point. On 40-degree days, it might be a little bit difficult to keep the kids in the car for mass.
But anyway, these things will be worked through slowly. Speaking of things, because you were saying we don't know everything that he's doing in the background, one thing we do know that Archbishop Comensoli is doing is he's rocking the beard look. He's doing pretty good, isn't he?
Yes. Is it going so grey, guys? Oh, no.
It suits him.
Well, we don't want to pick out... Yeah,
it's like a health minister. I was saying, a health minister,
like the health minister.
What happened? He's like, oh wow.
And we're not all about looks, although we complained about our hair at the start of the episode. We're not all about looks and things like that.
I think we're more about looks than we let on.
The reason I bring it up is because Catholics have been noticing online on Facebook, they see his videos, in some of the groups I've been in, they be like, not in public groups, obviously, but in private groups that they're talking about. They go, oh. He's got the beard going. I like the look. Well done, Archbishop.
Things like every week getting bigger, longer.
Yeah. So Archbishop Comensoli, we know that you listen. You've told us you listen to the show. So well done with that. But even more importantly, well done with the work that you're doing on trying to get a sacramental life. We do appreciate it, and thank you for that. And we're praying for you, and we hope that we hope that that you do have some success. But regardless of what you do and what you are able to accomplish, please know that we're grateful and we're praying for you as well. And come back on the show when you have a chance.
Open invitation.
Maybe Lino should say it, because when Lino says it, it works.
Lino says it.
Archbishop rocks. Archbishop rocks.
All right, so let's move on from there. I wanted to clarify something from last week's episode. As we all know, I did this one on my own. Now, as I was talking, different ideas and different reflections were coming into my head, things that I thought would be useful. And out of nowhere, while I was reflecting on some of the ideas, on the song of Jesus was the topic. While I was reflecting on this idea of the song, I had recalled a Catholic priest whose name in the episode I could not remember for the life of me. And the reason I couldn't remember his name is because the story I remember is actually from about 10 years ago. And Lino, I reckon... I watched this episode of Compass about this Catholic priest at your house when we were at your house, with you and Bernie. We would have all been sort of even you, Carol. We all would have been roughly newlyweds around this time. Right. But there was an episode of Compass. It was called A Late Vocation or something like that. But it was about 3 people. So there was a Catholic priest, an Anglican monk, and an Anglican female priest as well. And it was about their vocations. They all took vocations later in their life. So it was about people who took late vocations.
Yeah.
Is that ringing a bell at all?
Slowly. My brain's still processing it.
About 13 years ago.
It was a long time ago. Yeah. Now the thing is, It's so old that you can't watch the episode online anymore. And all I could find after the episode recorded, all I could find was a transcript. That's it. And you can order the episode from ABC for $88, but I'm not spending $88 for I'm not spending that for a 20-minute show. Forget it. Yeah, just chuck it on YouTube where we can watch it. Don't do that. Don't muck around with us. Yeah. Wow. Anyway, I found out the name of the priest, and I wanted to tell the story more accurately. I only got like minor details wrong. I said Pope John Paul II gave him rosary beads, but it was a medal. But that's But I thought I might just throw this, if you don't mind. I'm just going to read from the transcript, and you guys are welcome to react when I'm done. But I just wanted to give the more accurate depiction of the story of Father Michael Tate. So here it is. Michael Tate was raised a Catholic. He also had an inkling of his calling as a Christian Brothers schoolboy in Hobart. So Michael Tate says here, well, as a boy at St. Virgil's, I had a sense that perhaps I was called to be a priest, but then I diverted, went to the law faculty of the University of Tasmania, studied law, though then went to Oxford, and I switched this and studied theology there. According to my tutor at Oxford, I was the first Catholic layman to enroll for the BA in theology since the Reformation. So, then the narration goes on to say, as a student in the 1960s, Michael came to admire the American civil rights activist Martin Luther King and his campaign of nonviolence. On his return to Australia to teach law, he found the country embroiled in its own civil rights struggle over the draft for the Vietnam War. So Michael Tate says, my natural inclination up till then was to vote Liberal, but I realized that if I was to bring an end to that particular conscription regime, I had to switch my political allegiance. So in order to bring a halt to that, I joined the Labour Party. So now it's got like it cuts away to, to question time. So it's like, the minister representing the Minister for Community Services and Health, Senator Tate. He's like, Mr. President, Senator Boswell has raised a very important issue. So that's what Australian question time sounds like. Everyone when
name calling.
Name calling, like the booing, and all that,
finger pointing, It's like a British government doing.
I remember once when who was the treasurer, Peter Costello, years and years ago. Just as a side note, one time he was speaking, and his voice went high by accident. He was going, I don't want all of you. And so all the Labour people outside, they all went, you. That's how childish our politicians could be.
It's worse than school. You get in trouble at school, but they don't get in trouble.
So getting back to the story, so Michael Tate speaks from there. He says, I loved politics. It was fantastic. I loved the exercise of power. The adrenaline would be pumping every day. Every day you knew could be your last day politically. So narration says, after 15 years in politics, he was offered an overseas posting as ambassador to The Hague and the Vatican. And Michael Tate says, the Holy See was a fascinating posting, but there was a certain tinsel and artificiality to the lifestyle, which eventually I found a little unsatisfying. Narration. The year he turned 50, Michael was inspired to change the course of his life by one of the greatest poets of the 20th century. So Michael Tate says, W.H. Auden had been asked by some friends to write an eulogy on the death of a young poet in Oxford who died too young of a debauched lifestyle. Auden was angry and he wrote a poem that went something like this. When you appear before the judgment seat of God, God will recite by heart the poems you could have written, and you will cry tears of shame. Well, then I heard or read that. It hit me like a bombshell and I thought, is there a poem called The Priesthood which I still have to write? And I thought, I certainly don't want to cry tears of shame on my deathbed for lack of courage. I knew deep down that the hound of heaven was snapping at my heels, so I took the plunge. The narration goes on to say, before leaving his overseas post, he had a farewell audience with the late Pope John Paul II. So Michael Tate says, so we exchanged some pleasantries, and then His Holiness said, and where is your next posting, your Excellency? Where is your next posting? Your Excellency, I said. Well, in fact, Your Holiness, I'm going to study for the priesthood. You? He said. I said, yes. You? Which sounded very surprised. And obviously he was taken by surprise. He then said, this is what we call a late vocation. I said, no, Your Holiness, it was an early vocation long deferred. And he had a little smile, reached across, took a medal that had been struck that week to mark the 50th anniversary of his ordination as a priest, and gave me a copy of that medal. So it brought him alive because basically, whatever the titles, he was a priest and this struck a chord with him, and I found it very moving. So that's the story of Michael Tate becoming a priest.
Michael Tate. That does sound familiar.
Amazing.
The name. Yeah.
He's a priest in the Archdiocese of Hobart. So he's in Tasmania.
Hobart. Yeah. Tassie. Yep.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with everyone to clarify from the story from last week when I was talking about it.
Yeah, that's a good story.
Because I was reciting it from memory. Yeah, it's beautiful. I was reciting it from memory though. I was just like, I kind of remember this story of this priest and he met John Paul II. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So there you go. So let's get to something we can all talk about now. Let's talk about some TV shows. All right. Lino, last time we spoke a while ago, you'd been watching Star Trek Enterprise. You managed to finish up yet?
Yeah, we finished that up. Now we're watching Star Trek Discovery. So that's a whole different thing now. Yeah, it's really... Sorry, Caroline, but it's really...
Discovery? Oh, no, I've watched Discovery. Don't you worry about that.
It's really... it's really different.
Yeah.
It's very funny different now because, like I said, we're doing it the chronicle way, like, which came first and all that thing. So it's funny, all these special effects and the grittiness and the storyline. And then I think later on we're going to go back to the original. Like I said, it's going to be
the original series. Yeah,
going back to the original series, all these bad props. I'm not saying it's bad, but the props and all the sounds and everything, And once again, I had to Google it. They're mentioning the USS Defiant again. I went, what is that?
Yes,
coming back again.
Yeah.
But the series is doing very well. Yeah, it's funny when we have to watch it. Technically, try not to watch it before bed because it could really. And sometimes the storyline is very intense on you, and you want to watch the next episode. It's like all the TV shows, a lot of the other TV shows, guys. Yeah, you watch one. I don't know. I want to watch another one. Oh no, I watch another one. Before you know, it's midnight, and you go, okay, time to go to bed. I've got work tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've got to do something. All that stuff. So yeah, I think
season 1 of Discovery. Yeah, the first half was really intense to start with. And I know this because, and here's a shameless plug for Secrets of Star Trek on the Star Quest Network. Have a listen.
Yeah. Awesome,
I know that they changed showrunners halfway through because the direction was a bit funky. Like you would notice that there's some really massive continuity. Like, for example, they've got they use holograms for communication. There's the Klingons look really different.
Vastly different.
And they talk like they've got like mouths full of marshmallows or something. Cousin It. And what you'll see as they go along, especially through season 2, is they try to dial all that back and get it back on track.
Okay, good.
And it
there were a lot of people fired.
Way slowed down. It slowed way down though in the second. It was some of the episodes. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like
in the second season. Oh, I can't spoil it, but oh my gosh, there's a character they bring into the second season. I'm like, yes.
You might feel the same way. If you watch it.
Why? Okay.
I've got to say, I liked the second season of Discovery because I liked the new characters that we are familiar with that they brought in, and I was watching it kind of more for them than the actual casts of the. So there you have it. Yeah, I like it. It's a good series though. Enjoy it, Lino. Did you enjoy the 4th season of Enterprise? Any highlights?
It was awesome. I don't want to spoil too much. I was sad with one of the
go
main
on. It's like
characters.
50 years old.
I know. Okay, all right. I was sad that Trip died. That wasn't nice. Why did he have to die? I don't know why. Trip had to die. And
in that terrible last episode,
I know he had to sacrifice himself to defend the Enterprise again. I liked the very end of it where space, the final frontier. So they show the end. What was it? What is it? Picard's one? No. Sorry. My bad. Captain Kirk's Enterprise.
Yeah.
Then Picard's.
Yeah.
Then Jeffrey Archer's. As he said, space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Oh my gosh, I'm such a tricky. Anyway, and
to boldly go where no one has gone before.
No one has gone before.
A lot.
A lot.
They forgot that part.
That's true. But I think, like Birdie will say, she really enjoyed the characters for the Enterprise, and now she's going to Discovery. She's going, "Ooh, this is a bit too gritty. Ooh, what's going on here?"
It's quite different.
Yeah, that's right. No.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Hang in there.
Siri just started playing a song.
Is it a good song?
Was it the Star Trek theme?
No, it's a heavy metal song. Anyway,
that's all right.
Star Trek heavy metal. Sung by Klingons.
There's Klingon metal. There's a new genre.
Klingon metal would be interesting, wouldn't it?
I bet you would already exist.
Coupler! They've already got the voice for it, don't they? They talk in heavy metal.
Their hair, their outfit, it's perfect.
With their hair, that's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
As long as there's Wookiee heavy metal. No.
All right, I'm throwing it out there. This could be possible, right? Now, I've not legally been watching Star Trek Lower Decks, which is the new cartoon series, Star Trek series.
I've heard about this.
I've streamed a few episodes online because, for some reason, it's not out in Australia yet. Anyway, this is the show where they could do Klingons singing heavy metal. This is, if any show could do it, this is where it would fit in just fine. I would love to see Klingons with the long hair doing heavy metal. That would, yeah.
Could totally pull it off.
And that's the kind of episode you're listening to today, everyone.
Yeah, you can tell we're in lockdown.
Where we discuss, Klingon heavy metal. Yeah. All right. So, Lino, I reckon the last few minutes of the last episode, they were very emotional for me too. Like the way that they do the whole thing. The rest of the episode, I was disappointed. There was controversy because a lot of people, including some of the cast members, they thought that this was more like an episode of The Next Generation because the focus was on Riker and Deanna Troi. They were the focus of the episode.
Oh,
so, Caroline, I don't know if you've seen this yet.
Yeah.
Have you watched? You haven't watched Enterprise, have you, Caroline?
I don't know. I've seen so much Star Trek. I can't remember what it is called anymore.
Yeah, it's all the same now. It's just Klingons and heavy metal. It doesn't matter.
I've had it inflicted on me all my life, and now it's all just one big blur. I definitely know Deanna Troi and Riker. I mean, they were the most annoying ones to me, especially Riker. It's like, get him off. I've had enough of looking at him. Please. Like, really.
You don't like the way he puts his leg over a chair to sit down.
It's like their relationship and everything. It's like, oh, please, can you change subject now? Yeah. Although I like Deanna Troi more, I have to say. I could relate to her a bit more, but Riker is just like...
I remember you used to tease me.
Yeah?
I remember you used to tease me about watching The Next Generation.
I did.
And you'd make fun of Deanna Troi and go, oh, look, she's eating chocolates again.
Yes. It's like that in the days where we had no choice but to watch the family TV. So it's like there was no... anything, iPads and streaming and whatever. It was just the family TV. So you guys used to tape Star Trek and then watch the episodes over and over. We'd have like cassettes full of Star Trek.
Yes.
And it's like, oh man, yeah.
I know,
I'm not apologizing for having culture. I'm sorry.
Okay, if you call that culture, I mean, it's a form of culture, I guess. But yeah. Anyway.
Apologies to all the listeners here. We've got a bit of a sibling rivalry. But we'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be right back after thanking these patrons. No, we'll do that later. Anyway, the point I was trying to get to after that long is that Jonathan Frakes and Marita Sirtis, who play Riker and Troi, they came back. They were brought back for the last episode of Enterprise, and it was from their point of view. So it was the whole everything that happened in terms of the Enterprise character was them on the holodeck, and they were playing an adventure people were a bit upset about that because they thought this is more
I didn't see that. No, I didn't see that, guys. Sorry. Wow.
Yeah. A lot of people said, I kind of agree with this, that the two-parter that finished season 4 was probably a better season finale than the actual season finale. Yeah.
Season finale. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they could have just done a spin-off show for Deanna Troi and Riker for themselves, and the ones who like them can watch it all they like.
Star Trek Titan. We wanted that. Fans were there, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Right. All right, Lino, so you're watching Discovery. Watching anything else, or is it Discovery at the moment?
At the moment, it's Discovery, guys. Yeah, we've been trying to watch the other show, Game of Thrones, but that's not right. That's not going too well. It's too intense. It's too intense to like.
Oh, you have to wade through so much stuff just to watch it.
I tried it once, and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, same.
Same.
I will say it's well acted. The story is awesome. The production values were great, but like after a little bit, I was like, do I have to watch this just to get that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like,
exactly. Yeah. And I'm sort of catching up on the books, and every time I
the books are better.
the books are better, and then trying to understand blah 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 and all the family's intrigues and everything. That's all cool. Nothing else much on thing at the moment. It's been Star Trek. Anything comedies. We started watching Community, but
that's
we
good.
haven't watched that for a while. That's a great show.
I need to get into that. Yes, I've been wanting to watch it for a while.
Who's that? Who's that actor who played?
I don't know their names now.
The one who played in Han Solo, the movie. Oh, what is his name? I'm popping in my head.
Yeah,
plays
I don't know their names. I'm really bad at actor names.
I can't remember, but he was so good.
No.
Michael B. Jordan? No, I'm
sure,
talking about some of those.
Yeah.
He was awesome. He was awesome in Community, and when I thought, he would be perfect for Calrissian in the Solo movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the only comedy we've watched so far. I'm still waiting for I don't know if you guys watched it. It was Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh yes, that was good.
Wasn't there a second
I enjoyed.
season?
I watched the first few seasons. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
It's funny. I found it on one of the commercial TV streaming services.
SBS.
That's it.
SBS had it for a while. Netflix had it, or has it?
One of them has it, actually. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Netflix has season 6, guys, but I don't know where season 7 went, because I know there's season 7. I don't know if you know how it is. Some other guys buy it off.
Yeah, that's true.
Buy it off,
they have
go,
some really funny actors in that. I've seen them in other things as well.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yes.
Well, because you mentioned SBS, Lino, because you mentioned SBS, can I mention what I've been watching and then finish off with a bit of a gripe? So I'm going to get really cranky about this. So sorry, everyone. Here we go.
Okay.
Right, gripe coming. Are you ready? Right. Or some of you in other parts of the world might call this a rant.
Rant / gripe.
Cue in the music. Cue in the music.
Yeah, let's see. I need some rant music. Yeah, some Klingon heavy metal. Yeah.
Heavy metal Klingon.
So it's a rant too.
Let's get that recorded.
Yes, right. Let's do that.
That's got to be somewhere. Anyway, the point I was trying to get at is, so I've been watching a show, and I think Don Bettinelli. So I think in Raising the Bets, I think he mentioned this show. I think that's where I heard of it, and that's where I got curious. It's called Bosch, all right?
Okay.
And I did mention a couple of episodes that I started watching it. So I've actually gone through 5 seasons of it on Amazon Prime. And loved it. Okay, I love it. The reason why I enjoy it. Now it's a bit gritty from time to time because it's a murder, mystery kind of show. But each season is like a season-long arc story, like a mystery of trying to solve a murder.
Yeah.
There are multiple character stories going on at once. It's not just the main character. Harry Bosch, who's the main cop with his partner. J. Edgar, I think his name is. There are other police officers. There's the chief of police. There's the mayor. There's all these different, people involved in the story. There's their lieutenant, the captain, all these people who have their own storylines going on. You've got 2 older cops, they're on the verge of retirement, called Barrel and Crate, who like...
It's just like Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Actually, yeah. It's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but serious, yeah.
Serious part of it, yeah.
Yeah, although there's laughs in it too. It's lighthearted at times as well. But I really, really, really enjoyed it. Storyline wise, character wise, it's great. Once in a while there's something on there that maybe I wish they didn't put in there, but there's not enough to say, it's not worth watching, right? And in fact, the let's just say the adult theme stuff is minimal, and after season 1 there's no more, which is good. So you don't have to wait through that.
They got rid of it.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and thanks, Carol. Just noticed I'm going to point out, Caroline pointed in the chat, that there actually is Klingon heavy metal. So I'm going to be looking at that. I will be checking that out.
There is one cover done in Klingon of Bohemian Rhapsody, which I'm going to have a listen to afterwards.
Okay.
No. Oh, really?
Okay, let's throw down the gauntlet. Dom, if you get a chance, and I know that you listen, I know that you edit these shows, if you get a chance, can you throw in some Klingon heavy metal right now? Now, if you heard some Klingon heavy metal just then, there you go. If you didn't, Google it. We'll put it in our show notes. Yeah.
My goodness, man.
All right. But Bosch is good because it's got different murder mysteries. It's got multiple season mysteries as well. So there's the so you find out pretty early on that his mother was murdered when he was young, and I won't say much more about it because it'd become a spoiler. But he actually investigates this over about 3 seasons from memory.
Whoa.
So so there's these great ongoing story arcs that they continue. Yep. And I've been continually satisfied with the stories for 5 straight seasons. You could argue that there are some seasons that are not as strong as others, but all the way through, it's great. Here is my gripe.
It's a gripe song.
Get your headphones on. No, Amazon Prime in Australia has season 6 listed there, but you can't access it yet.
Oh.
Why?
So I had to investigate. I was like, why can't I watch season 6? I really want to watch season 6 now. It's like, and I had a look, and it turns out that SBS, who you mentioned before, Lino. So what's SBS? What are they called? Something broadcasting service? I
don't
know. I'm going to say stupid broadcasting service for the sake of this rant.
SBS on demand,
this point,
it?
all right?
SBS on demand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what they do is, they've got SBS on demand, which is their own streaming service. So they have the rights to show Bosch first before it comes out on Amazon Prime in Australia. Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm very cool with that. So went to their website. Season 6 is streaming right now. You can watch it right now until June 2021. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm happy with that. Here's a link. Yep. I click the link.
Exactly,
it says this page is no longer available. What? I beg your pardon? What?
Why?
No, you can't. Don't give me the hope that I can find it and then suddenly it's not there. So I had to investigate, like Harry Bosch. I had to do an investigation now and find out. So I'm looking around. I went on Reddit. People were like, season 6 was great in Australia. I loved watching it. Like, these people have watched it. Why can't I? It's like, searching everywhere, looking up and down, left and right. I finally thought, Twitter. Like sometimes you can contact companies on Twitter. So SBS On Demand, it turns out, has their own Twitter handle. So I typed SBS On Demand, Bosch season 6, and it came up and it's like, you can watch Bosch season 6 right now. I found all these tweets and people go, I love Harry Bosch. I love season 6. It was so great. All these people have watched it and enjoyed it. And then I scrolled down, and in August it said, only 2 more weeks before to watch Bosch season 6 before it finishes. So they've actually, they have put it on SBS On Demand, and then they've already taken it off as well. Even though they said it's available till June 2021. So I am in this Boschless void at the moment.
Boshless? That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to say this, but I'm having Bosch withdrawal syndrome right now because like I can't find a show
I know
that will fill in the gap, Lindsay, I've got this Bosch-sized hole in my heart,
When they used to put America's Next Top Model on TV and then they just wouldn't finish the series, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Oh, my heart bleeds for you, Caroline.
It was bad. I didn't know who won.
They do that with a lot of shows, guys. Yeah, isn't it? And like you were saying, Lindsay, and I know something saying about the Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Where's it gone? SBS, because SBS did show that on you guys on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. SBS did show that, and I'm looking at my YouTube feed, my Facebook feed. And okay, Brooklyn Nine-Nine season 7. All right. Okay, where is it? No. Where is it? It's gone on it's on DVD on Blu-ray already. But where is the streaming? Where's it gone?
Come on. Look, this is the silly thing about my situation. Guys, this is the silly thing. Bosch is made, it's an Amazon original. Yeah. Why won't Amazon have their own show on their own streaming service? Come on.
Maybe it's coming soon. Maybe it's coming soon.
Wow, I get the feeling it will come soon, but I hope I don't have to wait till 2021. Be patient, grasshopper. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So in the meantime, my fill-in show, it's okay. They've got Lethal Weapon, the series. So they've actually made a series.
That was good.
Yeah, so I'm watching that and I'm laughing. Yeah, it's a cop comedy. But, every now and then, they walk into an LA office with the cops. They got the lieutenant, things like that. I'm thinking, it's just not Bosch. It's like all these similarities. It's not the same.
That's all you can think about.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Anyway, so I'm missing because, and the thing is, it was my go-to show after a busy. So I'm a teacher. I've told people that I don't finish working at 3:30 in the afternoon. I actually have to keep on working because in remote learning, the workload, it feels like it's double. So
of course.
I'd be working, I'd go and have dinner with my family, spend some time with them, go back and work some more. It'd get to 10 o'clock, it's like, all right, I need to unwind. So Bosch was like my unwind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. So I cry tears for Bosch at the moment.
What do you do? What do you do?
Now,
What do you do? You watch Lethal Weapon, that's what you do.
That's what you do.
All you listeners
Find
out there,
something
when
else.
Lindsay's talking about Bosch, Bosch is a TV show, not the Tool, okay? Not the buddy's tool you buy, okay? I'm just making sure.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Bosch is a brand in Australia. Is it electronics or what is it?
It's power tools.
Yeah.
Power tools.
There was the ad, remember? Good, better, Bosch. Yeah, that could have been the tagline for the show, yeah.
Good, better, and where has it gone to?
Yeah, well, good, better, but gone, yeah. Caroline, you've been watching some space-related, was it? The Mars rover thing on Disney Plus, which is awesome.
Apart from watching UK police reality shows and Sugar Rush on Netflix, I can't just be, gotta throw in a bit of...
What was it? What was the show? What was the police show on ABC? The Bill?
Yeah, the Bill.
Oh, the Bill. I used to love the
it was
Bill.
British. Yeah. I remember when they'd arrest someone, they go, that's it, you're nicked.
You're nicked.
Yeah, exactly.
You're nicked.
You're nicked. It's very close to the Bill, I have to say. No.
You're nicked.
Inside the road. Yeah. Gosh, we're in big trouble now, guys. We're making fun with the English guys. Sorry.
No, you know what? We're not going to get in trouble because our British accents are terrible. They're just going to laugh at us.
Hey, mine's pretty good.
Right.
Anyway. Okay, so...
We're not worthy. Go, Caroline.
The cool thing that I watched, which is less trashy, is... So I watched, what was it, Disney Plus? They've got the National Geographic channel, I guess you can call it. So there was...
Totally recommend it, yeah.
Yeah, they had an awesome documentary about the Spirit and Opportunity Mars rovers they were from something like 2005, and they were supposed to last only 90 Mars 90 Mars years, but they ended up lasting. One finished last year in 2019. Remember we talked about it, we spoke about it.
Wow. Yep.
And there was the Spirit one that didn't last as long. Because it kind of got to a spot where it couldn't get enough sunlight to recharge its batteries with the panels. Batteries. Yeah, so it kind of died on the spot, poor thing. And a similar thing ended up happening to Curiosity as well, because it kind of got stuck as well. And they kept finding there were these patches of very soft sand, and the wheels weren't quite built to drive through them. And so they kept getting stuck and having to kind of send these maneuvers, and then hoping that the rovers would move out, which they managed to do a couple of times, but I guess, they couldn't continue.
But you know what's awesome about this? So I watched this. They actually rebuilt the actual setting, the sand and whatever, and put a rover on it on Earth and demoed all right, let's try this maneuver, that maneuver. Yeah. And they were just rolling it back and forth, weren't they, until they got it. It was amazing.
It was amazing. There was one for the Opportunity one where they it got stuck because its front right wheel, I think from memory, just didn't rotate anymore, and they ended up having to drive it backwards. So they were because it would drive, it would kind of drag the vehicle, and they couldn't steer it properly. So they ended up driving it backwards, and then it would drag, and they were driving for a while, and they had to stop again for some reason. They looked back. They actually took photos back, and they found this white trail. And then what they'd done is uncovered silica from underneath the surface.
Yes.
So they had all this red Martian sand, and then underneath they went, oh, what's that white trail? Look at that.
White trail?
Yeah. And so they sampled it and found silica, which was analogous to a situation on Earth. I think it was something near underwater geysers or something. I might have got that wrong, but it was some kind of similar geological situation on Earth. So that's how that silica was formed. It wasn't like life silica, but it was just, similar to sand or something. And so they accidentally made a discovery, which was really cool. So I think, it was just really, really good documentary. I mean, of course, I knew about those rovers, but I didn't know so much detail until I watched, these. And, they had a lot of trouble, first of all, planning. Like they were practicing with, landing the rovers on Mars, and they had troubles with the parachutes, and because they had to mimic the pressure on Mars, and then actually landing the rover, and then but once they got it out, they got so much information, so many beautiful pictures of Mars, and so much information, and it was just really interesting. And they landed one on one side of Mars and one on the other, so they could get different information and
information.
So I highly recommend people watch that. Yeah, it was.
It was great.
Very,
very I was hooked all the way through. Like the suspense, the way they do it.
It was,
even things like one of the rovers ran out of battery because the solar panels got covered in dust.
Yeah.
And then eventually there were high winds, I think,
and
that
it
blew the dust
off,
away.
And the rover came back to life.
Came back to life.
Yes.
Oh,
so they were able to continue.
That's just amazing. Yeah.
So they
got their money's worth out of these. Yeah.
Much more than their money's worth.
Yeah.
They just did so much. It was not a straightforward mission. I mean, you can imagine trying to control this rover, remote from Earth on another planet,
Planet.
It's such a feat.
You send commands and it takes minutes or whatever it takes for the command to actually get there and be executed.
And I mean, there were, very intelligent, people sitting at the computer. They had simulations on the screens, which were, I mean, looking back now, looking quite dated. And, so they had to use a fair bit of imagination, I think, and
they have to. Yeah.
It's just amazing what they were able to accomplish. But of course, now we've got Curiosity sitting on Mars, still sending back photos and stuff, and we've got the Perseverance Rover, which is on the way.
That is the creme de la creme of rovers at the moment.
That's right, and it'll be interesting because they've got, I mentioned last time, I wasn't sure how it was working, but it's actually a helicopter that they're going to fly off the rover to do some test flights to see, to learn a bit about flight in the Martian, atmosphere.
Droning Mars, guys.
Cool. It's going to be
now.
awesome.
I hope it goes well because I've watched a lot of fail videos where drones crash into trees and land in lakes.
Surely
I hope it doesn't fail on its first go.
No,
I hope they get some.
I reckon it'll be fine. These guys are super intelligent. I'm sure they've tested millions and millions of times, to get it right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and China's on their way too. They've got a rover of their own that's also there, and the United Arab Emirates launched a probe that's going to orbit
to learn
and
about
study
the
Mars
atmosphere.
weather patterns or something.
Wow.
But
cool.
Another thing I wanted to mention that I watched. Yeah, no, it'll be cool. Another thing I wanted to mention that I watched is about the discovery on Venus recently.
Yes.
Venus.
So if I can quickly mention it.
Wow. Yep.
I mean, it's pretty exciting. I mean, they're not 100% sure, but it's all about starting discovery. So I watched a press conference yesterday about a team who have found a particular biosignature molecule on Venus, which is it's a kind of obscure molecule that no one really talks about, but it's probably good because it's quite a rare little molecule, I mean, compared to the other metabolites that come out of bacteria and things like that. So they've been, so it was Professor Jane Greaves along with another scientist, I've written her name somewhere, Sarah, sorry, anyway, I've written her name somewhere and I can't find it. But they kind of collaborating. Sarah Sager, there we go. And they had a geologist. Yeah, they had a whole team of people working together, and but it was headed by Professor Jane Greaves. And what they were doing is pointing radio telescopes from Earth, one from Hawaii, the James Clerk Maxwell telescope, and Atacama Large Millimeter in Chile, and they were able to point, and they were looking for a particular absorption at a particular wavelength for a molecule called phosphine. So apparently, nobody's interested in phosphine except these guys. So
nobody talks to those phosphine guys at parties.
But from choosing this molecule out of some papers that other people have, proposed maybe they should look at. So they thought, let's take this up. And phosphine is produced anaerobically, so it means in the absence of air on Earth. And so there obviously, I mean, I don't know I guess not everybody thinks about Venus, but Venus' atmosphere is quite acidic. There's no oxygen. It's actually a high sulfuric acid cloud atmosphere. It's extremely hot on the surface, almost 500 degrees Celsius, and
high suntan.
Yes, and very high pressure down on the surface. But in upper clouds, about 50 kilometers up in the atmosphere, it's actually quite nice and warm and like a good temperate climate for possible microbes to live. Now, this is if we were talking about Earth, but we're talking about Venus. Now, they were able to detect the concentrations about 20 parts per billion, which is about the right concentration for microbial life to be producing this phosphine. They did try to rule out other processes such as photochemical processes in the atmosphere, like UV light hitting chemicals and creating the phosphine. A spontaneous creation, outgassing from rocks such as like volcanoes from the surface, perhaps meteorites, but all these don't get that same concentration. So, the other possibilities is life or some other process, chemical process that they don't know about yet that happens on Venus. So they're not saying life is on Venus, but they're saying there's biomarker here that could indicate that there could be some kind of microbial life in the gaseous clouds. My issue, I guess, is that it's a sulfuric acid environment. I mean, we do have microbes on Earth that live in very challenging environments, such as, very dry deserts and sulfur vents down in the oceans, so like hot sulfur vents and stuff. So, I mean, it could be, there could be a layer of protection around these, like a capsule or something. They were proposing that maybe there was a cycle, so like the bacteria or microbes would be floating in this in the gaseous sulfur clouds in some protected way, and then they drop down in rain, sulfuric acid or some kind of acidic rain. That drops down where they dehydrate and they form into like a little, what do they call it, a spore-like thing, which some bacteria here on Earth do. There are some that form spores, and then when the environment's right, maybe they float back up into the clouds, they rehydrate and they become animated again, start living, and then, the cycle goes on. So that's a possible...
Sea monkeys!
Yeah. Well,
sea monkeys on Venus! That's what it is, sea monkeys!
Right. There are several types of species of things on Earth that do dehydrate and then rehydrate. Yes. Like frogs. I'm pretty sure we've got some frogs in the Australian desert that do the same thing. They'll dehydrate down to a certain level, and then when it rains, they come out.
Come out.
They've just adapted
That's what the
that way.
tardigrade did in
Tardigrades do that as well.
Sorry, Lino, spoiler.
Tardigrades do
was this
similar
big?
things. So I mean, it's not impossible that there could be some life. I mean, now I guess the next thing they're talking about is actually sending some probes over. There are already proposed missions such as in NASA and stuff that want to go.
Do you know who? This is the exciting thing for me. Which company is being hired to send such a probe to Venus?
They did mention Rocket Lab yesterday. Is that right?
Rocket Lab, yes.
Rocket Lab?
They were talking,
Really?
Rocket Lab is they're New Zealand based. They do have they're also part in the US as well.
US as well.
But they have a launch pad in New Zealand, and it's exciting to think that this little New Zealand, small sat company might be the one to send a probe to Venus for NASA.
And they were actually talking about that. They were saying that they would like to include it. They would have to be quite a small probe and to fit in their little rockets. But they're pretty. They are in talks with them. Yeah.
They've solved this. They've solved this because in their last launch, which was an official business launch they were hired to do, they also ride shared their brand new Photon satellite which is a
yes.
satellite that can be customized with sensors and other equipment. So
Yeah.
it basically has slots that you can customize your own equipment
That's
in
really
there.
cool.
So they've solved it. They can do it. So
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's really exciting.
wow,
Yeah,
that is
they can
cool.
send a photon satellite over there and do their work.
That's
Yeah.
really awesome. Yeah. So I mean that's
Yeah.
pretty exciting. I mean, phosphine isn't just special to Venus, so they found it on Jupiter and Saturn as well, but the concentrations are different and the processes are known. The chemistry is known, so they know how phosphine is derived there. So this Venus one is quite curious because it fits. It fits quite well into the theory that it could be microbial life. So yeah,
Cool.
Lindsay, will send you a link so you can send that. It's the YouTube video of the press conference or the press briefing, as they call it.
Press briefing.
It's very good, very informative, and the journalists at the end actually ask very good questions and get a lot of information out of that. So I think
Excellent.
that was really fun.
Yeah, we'll pop that in the show notes. Yeah, that'll go in the show notes. And if anyone wants to watch that press briefing,
yes.
Please. It'd be good. I love stuff like this. I've been watching now SpaceX has been doing a lot of testing for their Starship prototype.
Yeah.
So what's happened is there are some really diehard fans who are like all over this. And I'm glad that they exist because what these guys have done, they've gone to Boca Chica in Texas. No, wait.
I wouldn't know, man.
Sorry, American listeners. I think it's in Texas. You can just tweet me and correct me. All right, all right. Just go ahead. Anyway, but they've gone there. The site is open. You can see it from
Texas,
anywhere, just standing around it. So different groups of people have set up live streaming cameras that are on 24/7. And you can watch the testing, the building, the arrival of parts for Starship. So they've done a couple of hop tests, for their Raptor engine. So basically what happens is they've got like these, they look like water tower cylinders, and they've popped an engine in it. They've flown 150 meters in the air and controlled flight and brought it back down. Yeah. And so the thing is, you never know when they're going to do it. So these people who watch all the time, they're kind of like experts. They amateur experts. They understand
experts
where things happen. So they're watching for when there's road closures around the sites, official road closures, because that means something's going to happen. Then they live stream it, and then you just watch with them. And watching for the little clues that there's going to be a hop or a launch or they're going to blow something up in a test, it's great. And the good thing is for us, the time difference works because a lot of that testing overnight happens during the day for us, which is good.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
they do them very like in the middle of the night or very early in the morning, don't they? But for us, it's in the evening or afternoon, which is better than us having to wake up very early in the morning.
So if anyone's interested, the YouTube channels are NASA Spaceflight. Now they're not a NASA official channel; they're just a bunch of fans that call themselves that. So NASA Spaceflight and Lab Padre is the other one. They've got a couple of teams out there. Yeah, they're serious. They've got Lab Padre has a couple of cameras. They've got a thermal camera out there. They've got cameras.
I haven't seen their channel.
They are. So it's great. So and what's great is I leave it on in the background when I'm working sometimes because just the ambient sounds coming out of there is you're like sometimes it's crickets, sometimes it's cars driving by. Yeah, it's kind of relaxing. Yeah. So hey, what's happening in Boca Chica?
There. What's happening there?
Yeah, but there is meant to be. So they've it's called SN8, I think, which means serial number 8. But that's the 8th test rocket test ship that they're building. This one is going to look like what Starship on the outside. Anyway, it's going to look like what Starship will look like in its final concept or the shape. And they reckon that it's going to be finished with its building by the end of whatever week it's going to be, but very soon. But it's possible in October that they will do a 20-kilometer hop of this one. So this will have 3 Raptor engines on it, the 3 brand new Raptor engines, and it will fly up 20 kilometers. Then it will not float, but glide down to Earth like it would, like a Starship would.
Awesome.
And then at the very last second, it will do what's called a belly flop, where the bottom of the rocket will drop and the engines will ignite and it will land.
That would be so
upright.
great to see.
I've seen those things. This is amazing, man.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. We've been doing a lot of rocket watching in lockdown when there's launches.
Totally. We have it in our family chat, and we're like, "Oh, there's a launch on now," and so we're like, we're all working or whatever.
Even my friends from work, even my friends from work, we start a Teams channel chat. We start watching them live, and that's great. Yes,
cool.
So we've had a lot to talk about. I think we might wrap it up there because we must be over an hour by now.
Yes, we are.
So. Thank you to everyone for hanging on for our ranting and raving and having a bit of fun today. We thank you so much for joining us for episode 41 of the Catholics of Oz. And before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons. Shout out to Dom, by the way, because I had forgot completely. It's been such a busy week that I forgot to ask for patrons until a couple of minutes before we started recording, and he came through. He saw my message, sent me some patrons. So big shout out to you, and thank you so much for that. And by the way, awesome emoji that you've created for yourself too. I'm really impressed. But it's very accurate.
Yes, you showed it to us. It was very
cool. So today we would love to thank Jeff H, Tom B, Timothy H, Nico B, and Thomas S. Because of their generous donations at sqpn.com/give, they make it possible for the Catholics of Oz and all of the other shows on StarQuest to continue. So if you'd like to join them in supporting the network, you can visit them at sqpn.com/give. We would love to know your thoughts. Is there much to think about in what we said today? But anyway, if you want to join the conversation, if you want to rant about Bosch, if you're in Australia, please. Solidarity, and if you watch season 6 and you love it, no spoilers, please. Just feel sorry for
just
your
give him a
Bosch
link,
fan
please. Where can he watch it, please? Just give him a link.
Yeah, please. And a good VPN as well, so I can watch it for some reason. But anyway, if there's anything that we've talked about that you're interested in, if it's one of your hobbies, if you're a space person, if you've been watching a bit of Discovery like Lino, or anything else that we've talked about, if you've got any stories of people that became priests or nuns late in their life, anything that relates, send it over. We'd love to talk about it on the show too and have a look. So you can visit sqpn.com/Oz, where you can also find our show notes as well and our links for anything we've talked about in today's episode. You can also visit the SQPN Facebook page at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. You can like, comment there, look at the other shows that are published through StarQuest as well. And also, don't forget, we have our own Catholics of Oz Facebook page at facebook.com/Catholics of Oz, spelt OZ. You can join us in discussing our latest episodes there. You can also email us if you like at catholicsofOz@sqpn.com. So, Caroline, thank you so much for being on episode 41 today.
Thank you, guys. It was fun, as always.
Yes. And Lino, thank you as well for being part of the show.
Thanks very much, guys. It's been really spacey again. Awesome.
Yeah, it got spacey in the end, didn't it?
It's never not going to be spacey.
True.
It's awesome, guys.
And once again, I'm Lindsay Sant, and thank you so much for listening to episode 41 of the Catholics of Oz on StarQuest.